Although I have joked about it with my parents, and my dad is 6 years older than my mom. So like the age gap between males and females isn't
a big deal.
But I joked, I was like, well, what if an older man says he wants to take care of me and if I'm in a relationship with him? And she's like, well, as long as he treats you well and you're happy. And my dad even was like, I can see that older man wants a younger woman to take care of him. And, as he gets older and he's going to provide her a stable home and financial stability. He's like, yeah, why not?
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the #1 sugar dating podcast in Portugal and the rest of the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And Lily, the ever so shocking.
I had
story.
stage fright. I couldn't say it.
Lily, where are you?
I forgot my line.
You did forget your line.
Take 2.
Well, no, I mean, that's fine. We'll go with it. That's part of it, right? We're actually doing a double podcast today. So we did one earlier that will come out.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. We had a great guest with Kevin and Vivian. You guys heard that last week. And we got a really good show today. I'm excited for it. But first, before we get started, I got to go through my stuff.
Your shtick.
Yeah, we got to thank Pod Populi for providing this nice studio here in Old Town Scottsdale. It's a beautiful day. My guest today is from out of town, and she's getting to enjoy Old Town Scottsdale. So we'll get with her in just a second on that. But we really enjoy recording down here. And if you want to start your own podcast, they're a lot of fun. Go to podpopuli.com and see if they have one in a city near you. And if they don't, they're expanding very rapidly, and I'm sure they'll have one soon. And then also, too, if you haven't signed up for the party, we're running out of time. Get your entries in. Go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com. We've talked about it enough. I don't have to give you details, but if you need details, they're all there. But you want to come party with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then finally, before we get started, we have a good friend, Maria Scaptura. She's a PhD student at the University of Arkansas this year. She transferred down there, and she's doing a study on sugar dating. We have a link to our website. So just go to on our website. So go there, click on the link. It's like a 1 or 2 minute survey. And then she also does phone interview. Lily and I've done it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Easy. Just lots of questions about sugar dating. So we would encourage you to do that because she did spend some money for this shout out, and we want to make sure she gets her money's worth.
Help her with the research, people.
Help her with the research. You know, we've been in school. We know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually sanctioned. It's a sanctioned survey by the University of Arkansas. It's anonymous. It's unrecorded, but your answers are very valuable. So please go there. All right. We're just going to get to our show. We have someone that's in town working, and she's in our studio live. Very gorgeous girl from the north. What do you call it?
We can call it Chicago.
We call it Chicago. I don't know how anonymous we get, but welcome, Alaina.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so excited to be here.
Okay,
this is
Alaina.
like meeting celebrity crushes.
Oh, it is? So how did you come across the podcast?
So I think you actually told me about it.
Oh, that's right. It was on my profile, I think.
Yes. We connected on Seeking, like 2 years ago?
I know it was.
It was a long time.
I was looking back through my messages, and I'm like, wow, that was a while back.
Yeah. And just had a couple messages, I think. You weren't in Chicago.
No.
And then it was like, I'm not in Phoenix or Scottsdale. So
yeah.
Conversation just fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started listening to the podcast and I was like, this is great. You guys are doing a great job. Love the stories. And then I happened to be in Phoenix for work for a week. So I reached out in that number. I was like, is this still Marcus? I'm gonna be
I know.
in town.
It was like a year later.
Yeah,
I'm like, is this still Marcus? This is still Marcus.
And more so just to say, be great to meet, or just recommendations for places to go in the area, or if I'd be a great guest for the podcast, that would be good too. So here I am.
How long are you in town?
I leave Saturday. So I arrived last Saturday and then leaving this Saturday.
Yeah.
So just a week.
What kind of fun things have you done? What kind of trouble have you gotten into?
I did connect with a Dom.
Really?
Yeah. And I saw him the day I landed, like literally landed, went to my hotel to freshen up, and then met up with him.
Oh.
And had a
How'd
lot
that
of fun.
go?
It was a lot of fun. He was a great guy, great dom, into BDSM, and I'm noticing a lot of crossover in BDSM on Seeking this time around that I'm on it. It's very interesting. So crossing that with the arrangement part has been a little fun experiment for me to see how that is intersecting. But he was somebody who was not interested in the arrangement part. He's like, this isn't my thing with financial gifts or anything, but I will take you out, show you a nice time. I'm a very experienced dom, and I can show you a great time. So this is where we could have our fun. So I was like, okay, I'm also interested in that. And thank you for being upfront and honest about what you're interested in and not. And I know that's a conversation that's come up about just being upfront and honest about what your intentions are. And if the financial aspect, either giving or receiving, is not your jam, then just say that up front so you don't run into those awkward moments, either in person or in a video chat. So I appreciated that. And our conversations went really well. And so we met up and we had an amazing night.
Okay. And you just saw him once?
Just saw him once. I may see him again, depending on schedules. Work was keeping me pretty busy, and it was a nice 35-minute drive into Scottsdale. So it wasn't so convenient for me to do that or have him come to the hotel. I'm like, I need to keep some things separate, discretion, work and personal life a little separate. So I decided to just stay a couple extra days after the meeting so I could enjoy Scottsdale and then just see if I could connect with people. So I may see him again. We'll see.
Do you have anything else lined up?
I was trying to, and it was a little difficult to try to get it. Yeah. I was kind of surprised.
I am surprised.
I connected with one man, and I was just shooting out messages to people I connected with or thought were attractive. Said I would be here for a week. It'd be nice to connect, go on a couple dates if we connected even more, just to have that connection for the future, whether I come back or they would visit me in Chicago or to travel together somewhere. Very few responses. So I was surprised by that. The one man who did respond and say, oh yeah, that sounds great. I gave him my number. Haven't heard from him yet. I don't know if it'll be a last minute thing, but I was noticing this kind of crossover of Phoenix and the political lean that it has versus Chicago and the perception that that has. So some of the conversations were people trying to convince me how dangerous and bad Chicago is and trying to get me to agree with them.
What?
Yes. And I said, well, there are dangerous parts, but it's kind of contained, but there's danger in every city. Like anything can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
And they would not accept my answer when I said, I'm born and raised there. Nothing bad has ever happened to me or anybody I know. And they did not like that answer. And
So you were born and raised there. That's pretty cool.
yeah,
Now, what is sugar dating like in Chicago?
I guess it depends. Everybody's experience is different. I have two friends who are also on the site. One actually is engaged to her sugar daddy. They have a baby together, just bought a house in the suburbs, and they're getting married soon. So started out with just a weekly thing. She wanted help with school finances and tuition payments. They fell in love and then decided to just be in a relationship, exclusive relationship with each other.
Look at that.
What is their age gap?
He's 15 years older than her. So he's, I think, just turned 45 and she's just turned 30.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
All right. We've got to back up.
Yeah.
I have so many questions for you, but I got to figure out where you're at right now. Okay. So how old are you?
I'm 37. I just turned 37.
Okay.
My birthday was on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So 37. And how long have you been on the site?
I've been on and off for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's changed how my life has changed in the past 5 years, has dictated how I've approached sugar dating. And then the experiences that I've had and the people I've met, I've gotten some great advice. And that's also shaped how I've moved forward. So I used it initially as a experiment to ask for financial help because I'm very independent and I hate asking for help, almost to a point where I will suffer before I ask for help.
Yeah.
So I used it as an exercise to see, like, could I be comfortable asking for financial help and then accepting it? And then it was a natural progression I felt in my sexual exploration at the time. So people had kept telling me about it. And of course I had the same initial reaction of, oh, this is prostitution or you're just being paid for sex.
Yeah. And we all know it's not.
Yeah, it absolutely isn't.
We've gone over this
Yeah.
ad nauseum.
So I joined and actually met a man I still keep in touch with today. He was more about luxury experiences and travel. And I was like, okay, that's a good intro for me since I was still uncomfortable with financial exchanges. He was actually younger than me. So he called himself my Sugar Cub.
How cute.
And then we have a really interesting story because we only saw each other in person 2 or 3 times. And then his job transferred him overseas.
Now, what was that age gap?
4 years younger than me.
Oh, my sugar cub.
Yeah. So at the time, And 2 years into knowing him, he said something about turning 30. And I was like, wait, what? You're not even 30 yet? Like, I met you when you were 28. But he was so professional and mature and carried himself in a very confident way that I thought he was at least my age. Completely missed if he had his real age on the profile or not. Then he moved overseas. We just kept in touch, texting, tried to do some like digital virtual sugar dating. I would do like clothing subscriptions every month. And so I would take pictures of the outfits and like sexy poses and then tell him how much each item was. And he would send me the money of whatever he liked and I would buy that. So we tried it a couple different ways. We really formed a great bond and relationship throughout it. We've seen each other end relationships. He's currently separated and we've shared so much of our lives with each other. He was then transferred to another country and flew me out to visit him for a week, which we joked that was our fourth date only. And I'm going across, the world to see him, but we got along great. And now he's moved back to the States in a different state, went to visit him. But we just connect and share all these stories and parts of our lives together. So I never thought I would have that bond with somebody that I met on this type of site and that it would continue this long. And neither one of us thought that we would have connected this way and just via text because we couldn't see each other. And it was just having great conversations and really being open to what would happen.
Can I ask what your ethnicity is? Because you have the most beautiful olive skin.
Thank you.
And the most beautiful, deep, dark, almost black eyes, and this curly, and I know that's got to be natural curly, dark raven hair.
Well, her skin looks very young, but she's owning the gray.
Oh, yes. I have nice gray streaks.
You've started the gray, which it happens, but you're owning it. But it's really odd to look at you because your skin is so young looking. Yeah. And I'm like, what's going on here?
A lot of people think I dye my gray streaks.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
some women do that.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I actually have virgin hair. One of the few things that's still a virgin on me. So I want to keep it that way, but mostly because I'm just too lazy to dye my hair. But to answer your question, I'm Hispanic. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican.
Oh.
Well, you are stunning.
I would have never guessed that.
I wouldn't have either. I just keep staring at her going, wow, she's so pretty. I wonder what her ethnicity is.
So have you ever been married?
Never married. No kids. I've only really had one serious long-term relationship in my life.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I was a bit of a late bloomer. I wasn't allowed to date until I was 18.
Okay.
And having any type of romantic anything with a boy was like, my parents scared me into not having that.
So they were very strict?
Pretty strict, yeah. I didn't even have sex until I was 21.
I mean, did you have brothers and sisters?
I have two younger sisters.
And are they the same with them?
Yeah, they were strict. My two younger sisters were a little more rebellious. So they would do things on their own as a teenager, but me being the oldest, the rule follower, that type of personality, I was like, no, I can't do any of that.
Same. Yeah. I'm the oldest child as well.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
We're the perfect child. We listen, follow the rules.
And I took it very seriously. Like, okay, I have to please my parents, but I feel like stunted my experience and growth with sex and relationships. So I was very immature. I had like my first boyfriend when I was 19, he was 26. And he was like the perfect man at that time. So
you've always liked these older men.
And then I find younger ones on Seeking. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, that's right.
But I was just so inexperienced about anything in life and relationships and how to talk to men and how to, just be in a relationship. I felt so uncomfortable and scared of anything too intimate. And then when you're older, you want something else. And so that ended. And then I just was uncomfortable trying to be in a relationship. And then I couldn't make anything stick. I was like maybe trying too hard, wanting a relationship too much and not enjoying the process of a relationship. So through my journey, I just enjoyed dating. Finally, I got to a point, I'm like, I just want to go on dates. If I make it to one date, if I have one drink, then that's a success in my mind. And then I had a lot of fun just being super casual, meeting people, going on dates. And all my friends who were in relationships loved my stories. I'm like, I have 5 first dates this week and just going out for drinks and just having fun. And if it turns into something great and if it doesn't, then oh well.
Where are you meeting these guys?
It was on other dating sites like Tinder, Match, Hinge. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I was on Facebook the other day and some lady was just bashing. And she was a really pretty lady, and I think she had a couple kids, but she was just bashing online dating, how it's the worst. And people agreed with her. And I'm like, how else are you going to meet people? I don't know how else I'm going to meet anybody.
Yeah. Well, you're going to take your wing woman and you're going to go to the bar and I'm going to find you a chick.
No, I like having a list and categories and being able to pick of the ones that are ready and willing and available. You just don't know what the status is of anybody. So I don't know. I just don't know how people do it.
Have you heard of this new thing called pair ring?
Oh,
no. What is this?
I think I know what you're talking about.
So
yeah.
I have it right here.
Oh, you do?
I think it's bigger in the UK or in Europe, but the idea is
to tell your status.
Yeah, to tell your status so that if you're single, you wear this ring. Yeah. And so if you meet somebody out in the wild, that you could see, oh, they're single and they're open to dating because they're wearing this ring, and you could then try to have an organic connection and meet in person.
Your middle ring?
Yeah.
That kind of like...
It's like a teal.
Yeah.
I haven't met anybody though.
Yeah.
So are there like different colors that mean different things?
No, it's just teal. There is like a light purple lilac if you are gay and you want to identify that way. But other than that, it's just one ring.
I think Kevin actually brought that up in an episode, but it was like handkerchiefs or something in your pocket or something. There was something that was very similar.
Yeah.
To indicate your status and kind of what you're looking for. But this had something more to do with swingers and also too, if you were, looking for gay or, I don't know. Yeah. I can't remember it, but I know somebody brought it up and I think it was Kevin, but they're trying to get something going like that. But yeah, but you haven't met anyone.
I met one female bartender that had it. And so I just said, oh, you're part of the community. And she said she hadn't met anybody either. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know how successful it is or if it's all women who are getting the ring and all them not interested.
Caught on here yet.
No.
So do you eventually want to get married? You want to find the person, or are you just having fun?
No, eventually I do. I just got out of a 5-year relationship about 7 months ago. So
Was this a vanilla relationship?
Pretty vanilla. He had his kinks and we had some, but it was also an open relationship. So, it was interesting. It was the first long-term serious relationship I had been in. So I was completely heartbroken as it disintegrated the last year.
Had you ever gone through that before?
No.
It's quite an experience.
Yeah. And in retrospect, you're like, this should have ended a year and a half ago, but you want it to work and you love that person so much.
Now, did you meet him on Seeking or was he a civilian?
He was a civilian. I met him on Hinge.
Okay.
And funny enough, I didn't tell him that I had sugar dated before and I kind of had dabbled in it while we were together. And I brought it up as a joke, and he was like, oh, as long as I get something from it. Like, if you get me gifts, too, that might be okay.
There you go.
And then...
you'll be getting things, sir.
He's like, yeah, go bring in the money.
Yeah. And then one night he was drunk and then confessed to me he joined a sugar dating website to be a sugar baby for women, but then realized that it was a scam quickly on. Yeah. And I was like, well, had you talked to me about it, I could have given you some advice or we could have had an interesting dynamic of being both sugar babies or just seeing what else is out there. I know there's many more setups and dynamics. Noticing a lot more couples on Seeking this time around as well.
Yeah, I see a few occasionally.
Yeah. So,
did you try any other sugar dating sites or just Seeking?
I tried Secret Benefits after hearing it on this show, but not getting as many connections, or it's kind of the same as dating in the sense of, or traditional dating. You connect with so many people on the site, or you match with them, favorite them, like them. Couple messages go back and forth. Maybe you exchange numbers and then it kind of falls flat after a couple text messages.
I feel like Secret Benefits is the Tinder of sugar dating.
I made Lily get on there.
My short experience on there, it was more like hookups. Now, I have to thank Marcus because I did meet my guy that I'm exclusive with from Secret Benefits. But dear God, most of the guys on there just seem like they want to just like a one and done kind of thing.
I don't know. You know.
They were just trying to...
I think that's on every site. And
put notches on their headboard or whatever you say.
So you found out about our podcast. Did you binge listen from episode 1 or you just kind of titles you liked? Or
both. I started binge listening and then I would listen to the most recent episodes. I would be going back and forth from the past to present.
Okay. And always curious, the voice on the side of the microphone doesn't always match what the person looks like. So now that you've seen Lily and I in person, what are your thoughts? And you can be well,
I had seen your face already because of Seeking.
Right.
So I kind of remembered what you look like. Lily kind of aligns with how I imagined it in my head. And I just saw the back of Kevin and Vivian. So Kevin doesn't look anything like what I thought he does.
Yeah, we always tease because the first time he came on the show, I got a message from a listener who says, is he a tall, muscular black guy?
Not at all.
And you saw Kevin. He is far from that.
Yeah, no, not at all. But he does have a great voice.
He does.
He does.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of aligned, but kind of not. It's so deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that my voice doesn't give away my look. I don't know if my voice aligns with my physical appearance.
I don't know what people are going to think of you, but we can tell you she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Agreed, Lily?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What do you think you've actually learned from the podcast? Are we doing a good service for our listeners? I just started for fun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And we do get feedback, but we always appreciate knowing what it's actually doing for people.
Yeah, I find that listening to it, it was comforting to know that I was either doing the right things instinctually without anybody else telling me what best practices were or giving me advice. It's kind of figuring it out, navigating it all on my own, just using common sense. Mm-hmm. So when it was brought up, always make sure you have a different number to give them so that you protect your privacy, and make sure that you try to get as much information about them as you can. Yeah. Let somebody know where you are with, while then trying to be discreet. So I found it very comforting. And then to hear certain stories about just alternative dating and sex lifestyles, I felt very comforted to know that these are my people, and I want to keep listening to these stories and continue to connect with those people, because there's not a lot of people in my personal life that have any type of alternative or different lifestyles. So I have to be careful with what I share and just being respectful for comfort levels as well. But then in all the years that I've been dating and exploring, I've kind of have my own community of alternative sexual lifestyles, preferences. I've been in a polyamorous relationship, exploring BDSM, open relationship, swingers, just kink in general, and the spectrum of what all that entails. And I've formed some really great friendships, so having them is very important.
What's your favorite dynamic?
I really enjoy a dom-sub dynamic, and it's different with each person too.
I wish we had Amy in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. Amy, my original co-host, you guys are on the same page. She loves that stuff.
It's great. And I'm exploring it more now and connected with about 3 different doms, and they're so different in their styles. So I really I'm a very curious person as well and want to hear about experiences. I'll ask a bunch of questions and just want to know what this experience is for the other person. What do you want out of it? And am I a good match, or what can I learn from you as well?
Now, have you ever been the dom?
I was once. I don't know if I was very good at it. It was a guy who just asked me to. And so I'm somebody who wants to do research and make sure I do a good job, because I know that that is an important experience for the other person to have, and I'm responsible for that. So I read a book about it and tried to do the best that I could. I don't know if I was very good about it, but I'm still friends with him, and he says that he enjoyed the experience. Mm-hmm. So maybe I would love to explore that more, but I want somebody who's a female dom to kind of give me more advice and instruction before I try to do that more on my own.
Now, did you have this building up in you as a youth, and you just finally are exploring this, or did this all come after you got out of the house?
I was very late in exploring it in my life. I didn't start until my late 20s.
Okay.
I was more realizing that I think I'm interested in more, and I'm not satisfied with what I have. Mm-hmm. And I would notice this weird thing that I enjoyed pain. If I got a bruise, I would love to see it. I love the mark, and then pressing the bruise.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is fantastic. So then I started to explore some of that and realize I'm a little bit of a masochist and then a submissive. And there was a BDSM quiz that you could take that would tell you what your category is based off your interests. So then I started to explore that, and I would match with men who identified as doms on Tinder and was upfront I'm not interested in starting something with you, but I want to learn about this lifestyle. And the ones who are legitimate would take the time and explain those things to me. So I had all this information beforehand. And then I would say, well, I'm open to these things. Here's my boundaries. And then they would say, well, if you're ready to do this, we can try it this way so that you're comfortable. So I feel very lucky that I had a great group of men throughout my life that exposed me to things and introduced them to me in a very calm and controlled way so that I could enjoy it. But then, another guest said, the sub always has the control. And if a dom doesn't respect that, then they're not a true dom.
Yeah.
Lily, did you ever, you never went down this road, did you?
No.
This is all new to you.
I mean, just playing around.
Yeah.
Just silly stuff.
Right.
being bossy. I've done a little bit of domination.
It's just,
but
you're just so uncomfortable even going there.
No, it's kind of fun, but I literally don't know if I was doing it right. I was just doing it for fun with someone I was really comfortable with. And we're basically just playing around. It's fun to role play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to ask her?
I think I was going to ask if there are a plethora of quality men in Chicago on Seeking.
I think there are. I think I just haven't met them yet because I've been very busy, so I can't be on the site as much as I would like. I did form about 3 connections that are pretty stable. We don't get to see each other as often as we would like, but they're kind of the 3 main men that I will see when I can and have arrangements set up with. Which actually have a funny story that happened to me recently. I wanted to get your advice on how this was handled, if I handled it correctly, and then some potential influence from another sugar daddy in the situation, because the timing was very strange.
All right, let's hear it.
So I connected with a guy, we'll call him Short King, because he's 2 inches shorter than me.
You girls all have nicknames for that.
Wait, do you care if they're shorter than you?
Well, you're pretty tall, though.
Yeah, how tall are you?
I'm only 5'6", but my shoes are pretty platformy today, which I have worn these around him, so he is much shorter than me. But I don't really care as long as they're confident and comfortable with their body and they're not trying to put their insecurities on me. I have no problem with it.
Okay.
So I meet him. He's a great guy. We have a great arrangement going. But I can't see him very frequently. So I'm on the site and I connect with somebody who was just visiting Chicago for a week for work. We talk about what our arrangement styles are, when we could see each other. We agree on everything. We have a video call and our only communication is on Snapchat at this point. Okay. So tell him I'm interested in PPM just because he's only here for a short amount of time. Connect, have a video chat. We are who we say we are. We have a great time. He, at the end of the message, is like, oh, should I send you money now? I'm like, well, we just had a video chat. I don't normally expect that, but if you want to send something, you can do whatever you want. Sure. And he was like, oh, okay, I respect that. See him the next day. We have a great time. Amazing. Getting ready to leave. And he doesn't mention about how he's going to
gift you.
Fill his end of the bargain. And I'm like, okay, well, we have plans to see each other another night that week. I'm fine as long as I trust you. And everybody I've met on the site has been trustworthy. I've always felt comfortable with them. I haven't had a bad experience.
What?
So
you're a good picker because
you must really vet them.
Yeah. I've had some weird situations happen, which I can share more, but
we'll get into that.
Nothing bad. Yeah. So before I leave, I kind of just mentioned like, oh, by the way, you kind of owe me. And he goes, oh, of course. I'll call you tomorrow or send you a message. Fine. Don't hear from him. I'm like, okay, I know you're busy. I know you're here for work. I'm going to give you some time and just kind of say, hey, how's your day going? Another day goes by before he's like, oh, just been really busy. And so I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel good. I don't like this feeling. Mm-mm. So I'm telling Short King about it because this has never happened to me before. And he's giving me some advice on how to respond to him. He's like, if this ever happened to me or I forgot to gift my sugar baby, I'd feel very embarrassed. Here's what you should say. Mm-hmm. So I respond to him. And then I would be at the event that his company was running last minute. So I let him know, hey, I'm going to be there. Would love to just see you and say hi and then express I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about how this night went and that you're not really communicating with me. I would appreciate it if we could just like settle this. No response. Mm. So then I start going into crazy stalker girl mind. And I'm like, what information do I know about him? And Short King's also asking me, I'm like, well, I don't really know much. I'm able to find a lot of information about him on Google and I find his Venmo.
You found his Venmo?
I found his Venmo. So I'm like, okay, it's not about the money. I was like, I don't need it, but it was about the principle of the thing and being trustworthy. So I'm like, well, if I need to get his attention, I will Venmo request him. But I'm going to give him some time because I don't want to be acting too
he's had
rash.
time.
Yeah. So don't hear from him again. And then Short King's like, well, what is his name? I give him his name. I find out where he works and everything. And then he's like, okay. Days go by. It's like a week and a half later, haven't heard from him. He hasn't even opened the message in Snapchat. So I'm like, okay, this guy's ghosting. So then I decide I'm sending a Venmo request to him and we'll see what happens. If he doesn't respond, then okay, just let it go. This is as far as I'm going to go with this. Short King then sends me a message and he goes, hey, do you want to get your money? And I'm like, wait, why? What are you going to do? I just realized that I gave you this guy's name, his phone number, his company. And I'm like, are you going to do something? Like, it's not that serious. At the same time we're having this text exchange, I get a notification from Venmo from that guy. And he rejects my payment, rejects my request.
Oh,
but then he sends me a random amount. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then hours go by. Finally,
what do you mean a random amount?
It wasn't the amount we had agreed on. It was just like,
was it much less?
Yes.
Well, was it like $52.37?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Random
it was a
number
really
like
random number.
Okay.
Like, not even, I'm going to give you half of what we agreed on. It's just, $217. I'm just throwing that out. It was so random.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, this is weird. Hours go by. And then he finally responds to my Snapchat message. Sorry, I've been busy. I just sent you whatever I had in my Venmo, and I'll send you the rest later.
Oh, it's probably that was his Venmo balance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So then I was like, well, like, do you not have the money to do this type of lifestyle? And now I felt kind of bad. And I was like, but what is going on? Why didn't you just say, hey, it'll have to be a couple days or a week or whatever, or I'm not really interested in this type of lifestyle.
What did he do for work?
He owned his own, it was kind of like a marketing company. And so he was doing all of the marketing for a really big alcohol brand at this big event in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was very strange. And then he was like, oh, how have you been? And then I was like, great. Then no conversation after that.
Did he ever give you the remainder?
He did. Then like a week and a half later, he ended up
So there is a happy ending.
There is. But it was just the weirdest experience. I had never experienced anything like that.
Okay, what was Short King prepared to do?
I don't know.
He never said?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You can't leave us hanging like that.
That could have got ugly.
Well, I asked him, I'm like, why? What are you going to do? But then the Venmo, alert came through, and I just said, oh, he just sent me, this Venmo thing just came through. And he's like, oh, great. Glad it worked out. And I'm like wondering in the back of my head, did you reach out to him some kind of way?
I know, because the timing was like,
yeah.
It was very strange. So I have my suspicions that maybe he reached out to him, to take care of me, but I have no idea. Honestly, don't.
What do you do for work?
I work for
Oh, okay. So do you have to travel a lot?
Not too much.
But when you do, you change your location?
Yes.
Cool.
Well, this is the first time I've been able to travel for work and be on Seeking. So it's the first time I've tried to seek in other cities. Yeah.
It can be interesting. I've tried it a few times, and
I
travel quite a bit.
Back east, and I was actually really successful.
Oh, yes. She did it at the request of her sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was into that.
But then...
Until he wasn't.
Until he wasn't, right.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
That was my ER doctor.
Yeah.
Oh.
He thought he wanted to branch out and get exploratory. And then when I would fulfill his request, then he'd get all jealous.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
He wasn't too stable then.
No.
People don't know what they want. They think they know, and then they don't.
Right.
Yes. It's true.
So have you ever come across scammers? I mean, you seem pretty wise for your age. And I just talked to a girl. Matter of fact, I had drinks with her, and I'm compiling some information. I don't want to get into it quite yet because it's pretty deep, and I want to make sure I have it all correct. But yeah, she's got $10,000 credit card debt.
Oh my gosh.
She has been left with through a sugar daddy scam.
No. Well, there was one guy that I obviously knew was a scam right away. And it was before I had ever even heard about the scams.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those like, send me your banking info. I just want to verify that it's correct. And my assistant's going to send you just like $25 or, exchange some kind of money that way. He presented this great monthly allowance right off the bat without even having a conversation. And then he's like, no, I promise, $8,000 is waiting for you. All you need to do is just give me your bank info so we can verify it's real. And I was like, no. I was like,
sir.
no. I was like, this doesn't sound real. Thank you very much. Bye. And he's like, no, I promise all this money could be yours like next week if you just give me this.
Now, is this
I was
through
like,
text messages or voice or what?
This was through Google Voice. So,
I was born at night, but not last night.
Well, she sent me the audio of him talking. Of course, he's got this accent, and he's trying to shame her and tell her all this stuff. I might actually put the audio on a future like extra sugar or something because I want to get into it, but I want to make sure I have all my information right.
Yeah, no,
because what she told me was quite involved. So
yeah, no, I never give any It's only like a need to know. And
Yeah,
I'm like, no, if we're not going to do any type of like, let's discuss the exchange and arrangement, and I'm only going to do what I'm comfortable with until I trust you, or you need to give me I need to have some bargaining chips. Like I need to know something about you before I give you something about me.
All right. So are you one of these girls who negotiate everything up front, or is it just kind of as it goes? You just kind of feel the situation.
Kind of feel the situation. It depends on the guy too. Like Short King was very upfront about what he wanted and how he wanted the arrangement to go and what he was willing to offer. And I was like, great, I'm aligned with that. Appreciate that you set it up. I have another guy, I'll call him Dr. Dom because he's a Dom.
You love these nicknames.
Yeah.
I love it.
Lily has nicknames for everybody.
Yes.
So Dr. Dom is more about the Dom sub dynamic, but he has done arrangements. And we had talked a lot about what our Dom sub dynamic would be, but we didn't talk about arrangements. So I brought up and I said, hey, are you comfortable doing, a PPM or something like that? And he goes, oh yeah, sure. I'm comfortable doing that. We can include that in like our setup. And then that was it. We then agreed upon that. And, but it was like weeks after we had just been chatting, and we knew we couldn't meet in person for, a while. So I'm comfortable having that conversation as it comes up organically. I've noticed some success being really upfront and then some not so successful encounters being upfront.
Yeah.
But it's more so the reaction is their own. They have to,
It's such a tricky thing. Lily finds herself being more upfront with people she really doesn't want to see. You're like, look, if you want to see me.
And then they love it.
Yeah.
You're like so direct. They're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them were like, ooh, I wasn't expecting that. Like, well, no Lily.
Yep.
It amazes me the self-confidence that some of these guys have, that you're just going to fall all over yourself to hang out with them and their bland personality for a couple $100 or something. No.
I love the number of men on the site who are like, I'm attractive. And then I see a picture and I'm like, maybe you are to some women, but I am not
Your
attractive.
mother thinks you're attractive.
I actually made, what are those little like videos that you can make on Seeking?
Vibes.
Vibe. I actually made a vibe one time and I said, if you have to tell me you're attractive, you're probably not attractive.
Yeah.
Don't tell a woman you're attractive.
No. And I just wish women had that confidence, because a lot of women won't be like, I'm so attractive. Then they're seen as arrogant. But I love when I see that on men's profiles. They're like, I'm attractive. And I'm like, really?
Our girl Kylie has that kind of
Yeah, she
self-confidence.
Oh, yeah.
She just tells the world, I'm a bombshell.
Yeah.
And she owns it.
Good
She's
for
got
her.
a big
Yeah.
personality.
Kimmy too. She's got a lot of confidence.
Oh, I loved Kimmy's episodes.
She's great, huh?
She's a wild child, although she does really ham it up for the show.
Yeah.
She's a great storyteller.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I was impressed with her just like life experience and certain things she would say. I was like, wow, she has her stuff together. And then she would say things. I'm like, wow, you're so 21.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was very interesting. I met her on a Sunday for lunch. Her inbox is just thousands of messages. I do not to this day know how I got through. It was timing. It was just luck. And we went on a lunch date and we sat there and talked for 9 hours at my house. And like literally did nothing sexual or anything, but she was just such an interesting person. And we hadn't arranged for like 3 weeks, and she catches so many guys' attention. I couldn't keep her very long, but I really didn't want to, because she had a lot of exploring to do.
Yeah.
So here, go Kimmy, go to the wild.
Yeah.
But, she became a really important part of the show, and we really miss her. So she's going to be at the party.
Awesome.
Boy, she said she was going to be. She better be there.
She's a busy girl. She's
a
got
busy
Europe
girl.
to explore. There's continents
know.
out there she hasn't
But the
seen.
crazy thing is I don't know if you heard, but she quit her OnlyFans.
Yes, that is.
It was shocking to a matter of fact. Lily's gotten messages from many people asking, what? And I've seen some too from, actually, Amy sent me a message from one of her guys that says, well, what's going on? Why has Kimmy quit a 6-figure a month job?
Yeah.
But it wasn't her. Just
Well, good for her for.
Well, she's got a billionaire sugar daddy paying
Yeah,
for
but
her
he's
real
not.
estate school.
that's hundreds of dollars.
I wonder if she's keeping up with real estate school whilst traipsing around Europe.
Well, it's online.
Kimmy, if you're listening, do your homework. This is from your
Yes.
Arizona mom.
Yes.
Well, I've encountered all kinds of situations where people want to set up the dollar amount that, for the date that night up front. And then many people don't even talk about it. But fortunately for me, I don't stiff them. I do give them, something. But I absolutely hate this. And this has happened to me a few times where it wasn't mentioned. And you're right in the middle. You're getting hot and heavy. Clothes are starting to come off, and they're like, okay, so it was 300 ppm to meet, and then 1,000 for the rest of the night. I'm like, what? Oh, I didn't know I had a hooker here. It just felt. Why
would somebody bring it up at that moment? Like it feels like this trap. It feels
kills the vibe.
It's like so dirty to do it that way. I don't understand. Like just bring it up, be upfront. Like
maybe that's their kink. Maybe that's their fantasy. Is for you to toss dollar bills all over their naked body.
But then I feel like such a
not
jerk.
Dollar bills.
Then I feel like a jerk for haggling.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute.
I'm like, I wasn't prepared to go that, but how about, 5 or 6 or whatever? And they're like, oh no, the lowest I can do is 8. And I'm like, I know it's only a couple hundred more, but I have principles here.
And it's also
probably
in the
like,
moment.
they're probably like, oh, he wants it bad. I can ask for anything I want right now.
But I had one where I just said, you know what? I'm going to give you this, and we don't have to do anything. I feel bad because you're not getting your number. I do appreciate your time. I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to put my clothes back on because I have completely lost the vibe.
Yeah.
This is not feeling fun anymore.
No.
It's just feeling like a sexual moment, which if you've been doing it long enough, there's got to be some chemistry there. It's not just about a dollar amount, right?
No. There was one guy recently on that he gave me a you up message on Seeking, and then through messages he was like, "Oh, are you going out tonight?" And I said, "Depends on a couple of factors." And
the you up message?
You up, yeah. And then he goes, "What are the factors? I want to fuck and I have cash." I was like, "Oh." Thank you for being upfront, but that's not what I'm interested. And I was like, just gave a polite response. And I said, I think you're looking for an escort. So you might want to find a site that does that. And then he goes, oh, okay. And he's like, but I'm really hot. Come meet me.
Oh, the nerve of some guys, the way they talk. I see these messages. I'm like, does this work on anybody?
I'm absolutely astonished by the men who will say that they're hot, they're attractive, they're sexy.
And they have cash. So come meet me. I'm like, no.
Well, usually the ones who are tooting their own horn are hideous.
Yeah.
Trolls.
So this is my shout out, and I make no money. He's not an affiliate of ours or anything, but there is a guy, he has a program called 3% Man. It's all over YouTube. You can just, Corey Wayne. I mean, he preaches the same thing. Men, don't be doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing what 97% of the men are doing.
Don't be an asshat.
Yeah.
Stop tooting your own horn.
I encourage you getting that book or watching his videos because it will teach you the right way to talk to women and to approach a situation.
And that's the most successful, just let people get there on their own time.
Yeah.
I'm actually chatting with somebody who's new to Seeking, but he had found an organic arrangement with a woman. And so now he hopped on the site, but he's very uncomfortable to share his face pictures. So I've asked him, okay, that's fine. We can keep chatting until you're comfortable. I'm not going to force you to do that. But at some point I do want to see your face. And it is important for me to know what you look like so that I can gauge if I'm physically attracted to you.
Right.
Because that's important. And he's like, well, let's just do a video chat and you can just hang up. And I'm like, well, you've seen my face. And then he said something about we could do a blind date and you could just leave if you don't like what I look like. And I said, well, would you continue to talk to me and risk a blind date if you didn't know what I already looked like? And he goes, oh, that's fair. I was like, okay, so are you going to send a picture now? And I'm like, all right, well, I'll get to your messages if I am bored or something. But, there's a certain comfort level. But at a certain point, you got to give. You got to give something. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything.
So you said you haven't had very many negative experiences. Have you had any?
She said she had a couple weird ones that she was going to share.
Let's hear those.
Yeah. So one guy, he was my very first PPM arrangement. So I was excited about that. He was a little older. We had a couple dates. They went great. I was in my relationship at the time. It was open, and I'm very honest about it. That was one of the stipulations of our relationship. If you're involved with somebody else, they should know that you are kind of taken. So told him, and then he was married, the arrangement, and he then said he didn't want to see me anymore because he didn't like the fact that I had a boyfriend. I was like,
and he was married.
What a fucking hypocrite.
I was like, okay. So then years later, so stupid.
So stupid.
And I'm like, all right, you want what you want. Fine. I'm not going to make a big stink about this, but you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. Years later, I connect with another man. We're talking about our experiences, and he starts to share a story about his friend who's on Seeking and that he doesn't want to date women who are in relationships, even though he's married. And I'm like, I had a similar relationship. Ding, ding, ding. And then we realized it's his friend. It's his best friend. And he was like, oh, I remember him telling me about you. and that, the whole situation. And I thought he was an idiot. So I guess I am an Eskimo. They're Eskimo brothers now, like sugar Eskimo brothers, because they were both with me, but years apart and we didn't know. Yeah. So that was a pretty fun one. And then I had another one.
Now, you don't mind dating married men?
I do not. I actually started getting involved with married men before I was on Seeking.
Really?
Yeah. And it was a very interesting time. It was like men that I had sexual tension with, and we had known each other for a long time, but the opportunity for us to be together had never presented itself. Then they all got married, and then all of a sudden we found ourselves where we could fulfill this fantasy, and then we did. And there's one guy I've been...
You're so bad.
Yeah, I'm so bad. I feel bad, but at the same time, I'm like, well, this is your life, and if it blows up, I disappear into the shadows, and you're the one who's going to have to clean up the mess. But it's also been very valuable experience to be with married men, to understand why men cheat, or what drives people sexually, or what drives them to stay in a relationship and then do things outside of it. And that really framed my approach to relationships and wanting to be open or having some flexibility. Because I literally don't know any relationship where one partner hasn't cheated on the other at some point. Like, not consistently, but at some point in the relationship, somebody cheated. Do you destroy your whole life with somebody because of like one experience? And a lot of people are like, no, absolutely, divorce, break up, doesn't matter. And I'm like, but there's so much more to that. There's so many more reasons why somebody's doing this. And I think you should explore that. You should have that conversation. And just that one moment should not define your entire relationship, in my perspective. And I'm usually alone in that thought process. Mm-hmm. There's actually one guy, we've been like having an affair for like over 10 years. We don't see each other very often, but like he's been married that whole time. And if we find the opportunity to be together, we do. And it's still really steamy, and we still have great sex and enjoy each other. So, yeah.
So what do you do with this extra money then? Because you have a full-time job.
I do. Right now I'm saving up for LASIK.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm also trying to buy a new place, remodeling my place. So it just depends on how often I see my arrangements, but it's not like I'm making an extra $10,000 a month or anything.
What do you think would be an average PPM that you would receive from a man?
500.
Yeah, it seems to be the going.
Yeah.
You're going to love LASIK, by the way. I had that done when I was quite young, and it's a game changer.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, but I'm trying to use whatever I make, because I don't depend on it, for the things that could improve my life in some kind of way. So I'm remodeling my bathroom. So, I got this amount. It's going to go towards the new vanity set or the new lighting system or whatever.
What's the most PPM you've ever gotten?
Just 500, I think. Maybe 600. Yeah.
We had an interview with Kylie the other day, and she got one night $12,000.
What?
Yeah.
I would love if that situation would happen. I just have never met
anybody.
anybody.
They had a bidding war on her.
Yeah.
What? Two guys had a bidding war on her.
My gosh.
She brought in a wedding ring that she was actually taking to Dallas to sell that day. And it was a total, with everything, 10 carats.
Wow.
The one diamond was almost, 7 carats?
I think 8. And
Close to 8.
Total,
like that.
yeah.
Total 10.
Yeah.
Anyway, he paid $500,000 for it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She has gotten some crazy amounts, but
I think the most PPM I've ever got for just like a one night was, initially it was going to be 800.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I was back east.
Oh, well, it's a little higher over there.
My sugar daddy, who sent me out to do this because he thought it would be sexy for him to hear about it. So I did. And it was going to be 800, but then I got ready to leave, and the guy's like, I'll give you $2,000 more if you stay.
Wow.
And what do you think Lily did?
She stayed.
She stayed.
Oh, of course.
God, and my sugar daddy was pissed because I called him and I said, hey, he wants me to stay. Well, is that what you want to do? I'm like, it's $2,000 to stay and hang out for a couple more hours. I mean, do you want to have a bidding war?
Yeah, right. You should have said that. Yeah. Well, how much are you going to pay for me to come back to you?
Yeah. So just for hanging out with him for, I think like probably about 4 hours, I got $2,800.
Nice.
Yeah. That go to your mortgage?
It sure did.
Yeah. Lily has some goals.
Yeah, I have a very specific financial goal to pay off my house so I can live comfortably on my pension.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've made great strides toward that.
Yeah,
in a couple of short years.
I'm sure you heard the episode. We've brought it up many times where one of her sugar daddies wrote her a check for $20,000.
I keep thinking
I saw the
that.
check.
I'm like, one day I'll meet somebody who will do something like that for me. But mostly I have this fantasy that somebody just gives me this large amount of money, but teaches me how to invest it so that they set me up for success. Not just I'm throwing money at you and you waste it. Yeah, like here's this money to get you started so that you can build something and get to a different point for your life.
Well, real quickly, we're running out of time. Have you traveled with any of your sugar daddies?
I've traveled to them. So I went to Europe with one, stayed with him. It was amazing. And then when he moved back, this was the Sugar Cub. Went to visit him in his new town. And then other than that, I mean, I'm open to it. It just hasn't gotten to the point where we've been comfortable enough to do that.
Where'd you go in Europe?
I can't say because it's a kind of small country, small town. So yeah, I just want to keep that a little anonymous.
And
I get it.
And you've never done a podcast before?
I've never. I've always wanted to be on one.
You're a natural.
How eloquent is she? And her command of the language is spot on, and she's not using a lot of filler words. The little things we notice once we start editing.
Oh, okay.
Because she edits out all the uhs and ems and, stuttering, and we all do it. And I'm sitting here watching you speak and hearing you thinking, you're a professional. You've got to have done this before.
I've always wanted to be on a podcast. This is a fantasy of mine. So meeting you two and being on here.
I mean, were you always that good with language?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I am a performer. I'm a dancer. I've been performing and doing things in public. And a lot of what we needed to do is speak to our dance company and form donors or things like that. So I think I just naturally gravitated towards.
What type of dancing?
I'm a dancer.
No way.
That is too cool.
I love that. I've been to some restaurants that had dancers and it was quite entertaining. Yeah.
That might give away my identity to some people in Chicago, but that's okay.
Well, do you want me to bleep that out? I can bleep it.
No, she's good.
It's okay. I'm not the only dancer on Seeking. I'll just say that.
Yeah. All right, Alaina, anything that you want to plug or anything else you want to leave with us here?
No, this has just been an honor to be on this
well, we're honored to
show.
have you. I had no idea what we were in for because I knew nothing about you.
Well, I'm glad that I could fill up an episode.
Yeah, I told Lily, I was like, well, this would be just like a meet and greet.
We're going in cold.
Yeah,
I think that's so fun.
I was kind of surprised too that you're like, just come by. I'm like, oh, okay. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, we don't have anything prepared. That's how we do our show.
Yeah, we wing it.
We do wing it. Well, it comes across more natural that way, and I think it's just a lot more genuine.
I'm all about new experiences, so this has been a fantastic one.
Yeah, some people are absolutely scared to death to do this. I'm like, oh, I'll never be on your podcast. It took a lot of convincing to get Alejandra, one of my current sugar babies, on here, and we finally got her on here. And then there's other people who are like, what time? I'll be there.
Yeah.
Have you ever done one? Nope, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Well, next time you're in town, let's hang out. Let's go to lunch.
Do you think you'll come back
do
here?
Something?
I would love to. I'm going to sign up to see for the contest.
Oh, good.
In November.
You are?
I would love to. Yeah, I've been meaning to, and I just
get it
been
done
busy.
soon because we're starting to get inundated with applications.
How about this? If you send in the application, you won.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
I vote for you.
I will send it in.
100%. Matter of fact, we'll pay your airfare here.
Aw.
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
Yeah. So
Yep, we've got one left.
yeah, I think we've got one.
We got 3 sugar daddies sponsoring airfare. Do we have one left or 2?
We offered it to somebody and they couldn't make it. They found
okay.
They have found love.
Oh, good
it
for
would
them.
be quite appropriate for them to come to the party. So I think we still have 2 airfares.
2 airfares left?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm taking one of them.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll fly you in.
Just be prepared. It's Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now,
Perfect.
does your family know anything about your sugaring?
They do not, although I have joked about it with my parents, and my dad is 6 years older than my mom. So like the age gap between males and females isn't
A big deal.
a big deal. But I joked, I was like, well, what if an older man says he wants to take care of me and if I'm in a relationship with him? And she's like, well, as long as he treats you well and you're happy. And my dad even was like, I can see that older man wants a younger woman to take care of him. And, as he gets older and he's going to provide her a stable home and financial stability. He's like, yeah, why not? So they're open to the idea. I think the way I go about it and how Seeking is set up is probably not how they envision it.
Yeah.
But the concept of a man taking care of his wife and her being much younger than him is not a big deal to them. Because I think bringing it up in the podcast, those types of supports happen in relationships naturally.
Oh, heck yeah.
My ex-boyfriend bought me my new iPhone and he paid for new tires because I was making so much less than him and needed it. He's like, it's okay. I'll do it for you because you need this or I want you to have it.
It was very natural for me. I was the provider in my marriage. I had a girlfriend. I was a provider. And so it just, to me, it felt very natural. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
What you call them, you know?
Yeah.
Well, Lily's got a 3-hour drive ahead of her.
Oh, no.
I'm taking my sugar daddy / boyfriend to my small hometown for the first time.
Ooh, fun.
He has met my family, but this will be his first time to actually visit.
Do you still call him your sugar daddy even though you're in a relationship with him?
No, no.
No, she calls him her boyfriend.
And he's not, honestly, he doesn't really identify as a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
But let's just put it this way. He's hugely generous.
Oh, one of the most generous guys.
Generous.
And I have to fight him for a check. Like if we go out to eat, he just wants to pay every single time.
Yeah.
And but I made up for it. I took him to the Nickelback concert and paid for their tickets, and we had a lot of fun there.
Yeah, that was fun. Oh, he loves Nickelback. He had the best time.
That was great.
He loves music. So anytime there's a concert, sign him up.
I do too. And so that's why we get along. I really like him for you, and I like him for me too. Yeah, it's good. It was a good find, Lily.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. All right. Well, we've got to go. If you want to share your crazy sugar dating stories like Alaina did, and if you want to come and be in person, let me know. We'd love to have you in the studio, or we can always do it through Zoom or a phone call. Go to our website at secretsofasugardaddy.com. And then again, don't forget to enter for our party. It's coming up very quick, and we're running out of spots. So you'll want to get one of those, right, Alaina?
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
Please do.
Okay. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.